apologies for the delay. Sincere apologies for the delay as there was some glitch at our hand. So good evening and a warm welcome to all of you from AtGully. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the inaugural session of the Thought Leadership Series, the latest endeavor from AtGully to engage with industry luminaries, business leaders, and foremost think tanks in the industry. There will be several takeaways for aspiring young leaders as well as seasoned professionals in the series of candid conversation that we are lined up as part of our Thought Leadership Series. Our inaugural edition, we have a person who needs no introduction really. Dear friends, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ambi Parameshwaran, brand coach, brand strategist, and founder of brandbuilding.com, a brand advisory firm. Ambi straddles diverse fields. In a career spanning over 35 years, Ambi has worked on and handled several challenging assignments spanning across marketing and advertising. He has handled several blue chip brands like Santu, Digene, Sundrop, TCS, Wipro, ZTV, ICICI Bank, among many others, where he has been instrumental in building the brands. He served as VP and then CEO of FCB Ulka in his last leadership role before starting his brand consulting firm. Ambi is also a prolific writer and a regular contributor to business publications. He has 9 best-selling books to his credit, including The Nawab's Nudes Noodles and India Through 50 Years of Advertising. Joining Ambi is R. Sridhar, who will be moderating the session today. Sridhar is a leadership and innovation coach and partner of Idea RS, a company he founded about 20 years back. He is an accredited CEO and business coach from the Coaching Foundation of India and has mentored several business leaders to reach new heights in their life. Sridhar is also the former director of Ogilvy and Mather and was the chief architect behind bringing direct marketing to India for the first time under the O&M Direct umbrella. He is also the author of the book, Unlock the Real Power of Ideation. So without taking much time from you, let us delve straight away into this conversation between two of the leading marketing minds in our country. Please post your questions to our speakers on the Q&A box. Over to you, Sridhar, to start the session.
Thank you, Ganpati. Hi, Ambi. Nice to see you here. And nice to be having a chat with you.
Hi, Sridhar, it's your show, so I'm ready to get grilled by you.
I love this ping pong, the way you're passing the ball on to me. I'm just asking questions. So let me start my role. Who is a thought leader, Ambi? What differentiates a thought leader from anybody else?
I think it's a tough question.
Okay.
Because where do you draw the line? When does someone become a thought leader? Is there a kind of a Lakshman Rekha you cross to be called a thought leader? So I think if I were to unpack that, I think the first thing is thinking. First is someone who can think of a new direction,
Okay.
someone who can think of a new path,
Okay.
which other people follow. So I'm literally doing a kind of a semantic analysis of the word. A thought leader is someone who has thought of a new path, taken a new path, which other people have followed. So that person is a thought leader. Now, whether it could be a scientist, it could be a management scholar, it could be a technologist. Thought leaders can come in all shapes. But I think the idea is to think and then think of a new route, a new path, which you take, a path not taken by anyone else.
Okay.
And you start going down that path, and then seeing you go down that path, seeing you succeed, other people follow you. So that person or that brand or that business becomes a thought leader. And that's my limited understanding of this topic.
So just for me to cement my understanding, would you call Bill Gates and Steve Jobs thought leaders?
Yeah, in a sense, both of them set new path, right? And they did create new directions for the world to go in. Bill Gates is in the news for all the wrong reasons now, but no one can deny the fact that he pioneered the idea of an operating system, which powered almost all the home computers in the world, which is DOS, the disk operating system. So he pioneered that, and other people followed. Uh, Steve Jobs, in his own way, changed the entire data, what is called desktop publishing industry. It was created by
Right.
Steve Jobs.
Correct.
He created that whole industry, and other people followed him. Then he created the computer animation industry when he set up Pixar and pioneered that way. And then the leaders followed this computer animation business, which he created. And then later he came back to Apple, and then he created the iPod. He created a new direction for the music industry.
Correct.
Some say that he destroyed the music industry, but some say he saved the music industry. So I will not go there. And then he created, and then he developed the idea of a smartphone, right? Which so he is definitely as a thought leader. All these people are really thought leaders, and if you come to India, so you have, going back to the days of Gandhi. Gandhi was a thought leader, right?
Absolutely. Correct.
Yeah. Whole idea of universal brotherhood, non-violent form of protest, was a thought leader. And then globally, you've seen Nelson Mandela following Gandhi's path, and then of course Martin Luther King following the Gandhi's path. So he created a completely new way of protest. Till then, the only protest we knew was with sticks and bricks and fighting with each other on the streets.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if that was the only form of protest, the amount of bloodshed which we would see across the world today? And so he created an entirely new path for people to protect, to kind of protest, right? So, yeah, I mean, in a commercial world, Steve Jobs and definitely Bill Gates. But if you look at the bigger world, the socio-political world, Gandhi was a thought leader. So was Nehru in his own way. So was even Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, right?
Very true. So the sense of what you're saying, I get, is that thought leaders break fresh ground. They create new ways of thinking, new ways of doing, new ways of learning, and so on and so forth. So that actually changes the lives of people in many different ways. Would you think that my understanding is correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So they think of a new direction to go, which has not been done before. They don't succeed all the time, right? I mean, if you remember, Mahatma Gandhi, in fact, South Africa was where he tried all his experiments. Of his non-violent form of protest, etc. Some of that succeeded, some of that failed. And then he perfected it. And then when he came to India, he had perfected what he had to do. And then he did it so well, right? And then others then followed him. So obviously they create a new path, and then others follow. In the world of business, same thing, right? With Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, or even in India. Our thought leaders like, Dr. Kurian, the whole idea of farmer-owned cooperative, right, where the only purpose of the business is to make sure the farmer gets a right price for the milk.
Correct. Milk revolution.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the thing that occurs to me is that thought leadership has a huge impact on the way people, think, say, and do things, and it actually changes the lives of people. So, will this thought leadership affect? How does it affect brands, for instance? Can you give an example of thought leader brands?
Well, brands per se, the successful brands innovate, Sridhar, and therefore they create a new path. So instead of talking about brands which I've worked on, let me talk about the brand which you worked on, right?
Okay.
So, when the whole idea of launching a quartz, quartz analog watch,
wristwatch,
wristwatch, Titan, was a very, very revolutionary move, right? That was a time, was it what, 83, 84, 85?
84, 85,
Right, and the whole country, we used to buy either HMT watch or Time Star or whatever, and which are all manually wound watches. So at that time, sitting uninvolved in the business, I used to admire all the ads you created for Titan. But I used to wonder, will Indians be ready to buy a watch where they have to change the battery every year? Now, which means, I remember when I was in 11th, when I passed my metric exam, my cousin gave me a HMT Janta watch. HMT Sona. I still have that watch. Right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful watch, which every day before you wear it, you wind it and then you wear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, my idea was, look, I love my Sona watch, and why will anyone buy a watch where you have to change the battery every year? It's so much of a headache. Will this succeed? But then Titan, managed to create a path for the digital, what we call quartz analog watches.
Right.
And that then created a revolution in terms of how Indians see watches. And then today, most people have not one wristwatch; they have 2, 3, 4, depending on their mood. That's an example of thought leadership to create something that changed the entire dynamics of the industry. I spoke about Amul, which was set up by a farmer cooperative, but they changed the way milk is marketed in the country, whether it is liquid milk, butter, ghee, and now during the lockdown, they've come out with so many innovative products. Or let's look at another combined. Of course, they did the great advertising of, doodh, which tried to make milk consumption cool, right?
Yeah.
And if you go back to read the history of that campaign, because that was the time Coke and Pepsi were coming into India, and the young kids in India were getting fascinated by carbonated drinks. And Dr. Kuri said, we need to make something to make the children drink milk in a cool way. And so that led to the Doodh campaign.
Yeah.
Or if you take the National Egg Coordination Committee, which with our friend late Andy Halway worked on that campaign, which is that Ande Hoya Monday, Rose Cow Ande.
Correct.
Completely, clearly created a new path. So even in FMCG, you had brands which innovated, created a new path, and showed the way for the others to follow.
So what I hear you say is that all these people had some kind of a vision which nobody had seen before, right? And they could dream and visualize the impact of what they're planning to do. And they had the power to persuade a whole lot of others to follow their path, starting from Gandhi, for instance. So is that's the quality that differentiates these dreamers, the thought leaders? Would that be a correct thing to say?
Yeah, I mean, we are looking at, thought leadership. We cannot equate it only to Mahatma Gandhi, because he was a giant in many, many ways. But
no, I just mentioned him because you mentioned it. I just took his name. But if you cut across and take any field, there is what differentiates thought leaders from the rest of the people. That's what I'm trying to find out.
So I agree. I think thought leaders create a new path, a new beacon for people to follow, people to learn from them, people to understand something new. All that is what a thought leader does, in my opinion.
And failures don't stop them, right?
Not at all. I think if you take Amul, they've had enough failures. You take Titan, till date, they've been struggling with that premium watch, which is a Swiss-made by Xylus. They've not succeeded. They've not succeeded in anything they've done. But they keep trying, right? I mean, that's what separates them from the others. Absolutely right.
Yeah. So what about business-to-business brands or service brands? Does thought leadership work in those areas as well?
Sridhar, I think thought leadership works even more in that domain.
Yeah,
in
tell me.
Domain.
Yeah.
Right? So, for example, McKinsey, right? Is a management consulting company,
right?
Right, and they do pioneering work, they do pioneering research.
Yeah.
And I had a cousin working in McKinsey, and he had put me onto their mailing list. So for many years, I used to get that McKinsey Quarterly, which
Wow.
is a printed journal, which is almost equivalent in terms of quality to, let's say, Harvard Business
HBR.
Review.
Right.
Yeah,
So do you have the
and
back copies still? I'm sure you're holding on to the back numbers.
no, I unfortunately I gave them away,
Oh,
or maybe
okay.
they're lying in the Ulka library. Actually, I used to give them to the
Okay.
library, and it to the library it
Okay.
must have disappeared. But the interesting thing is today, all the McKinsey Quarterly is available for you to download free on their
Wow.
McKinsey website.
Amazing.
Right? So it's, I mean, what more is a sign of a thought leader, right? All their archival McKinsey Quarterly, they put it up on their website. And recently I was teaching some course on value versus price in the B2B environment, right? How do you manage value and price? And somewhere I came across some reference to an article in McKinsey Quarterly, and I managed to locate it. And absolutely terrific article, right?
Okay.
Which they must have done after doing a lot of research.
Yeah.
They've captured it in the form of a framework, which I then shared with my the team I was coaching. So amazing, right? So that's one example. Of course, you worked in Ogilvy. Ogilvy has done a lot of thought leadership pieces. I mean, including Ogilvy's own book.
Yeah.
Mission Advertising Man, and then of course Ogilvy and Advertising. Both are thought leadership pieces. Your book, your innovation book is an example of thought leadership. In our case, in FCB Ulka, we used to come out with what we call a Cogito Quarterly, which was, shall I say, a simple version of our own McKinsey Quarterly. We used to come out with that two issues a year, 3 articles based on original research done by the agency's team. So so in B2B space, and if you take, for example, going to areas like IT, Accenture then does a lot of white papers. So does IBM. IBM website is amazingly rich in terms of content. TCS does a lot of white papers, industry white papers. So does Infospace. So I think thought leadership in B2B, it's critical, especially in certain domains, to be seen as a thought leader.
Okay.
Because if you're not seen as a thought leader, you end up becoming a commodity.
Right.
And then when you end up becoming a commodity, negotiations are going to be based on how many man hours and how much will I pay you per man hour, $10 per hour, or $5 per hour, or $20 per hour. So it's extremely important. And in the good old days, Sridhar, I don't know whether they still do it. The good old days, advertising agencies used to be very good at this.
Yeah.
Right? It was your own old agency, Ogilvy, and my old agency, FCB, Ulka, or JWT, which used to create their Thomson's Urban Market Index, Rural Market. I mean, all of us have learned marketing using those Urban Market Index. Of course, then later Shekhar did that RK Swamy Market Index. All these are thought leadership pieces, which never makes money. All these efforts, as you know, they may be selling the RK Swamy Market Index Guide to Indian Markets for. I once asked Shekhar, why are you charging, $9,000 for that, 3 volumes? He says it doesn't even cover the cost of paper.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's so expensive to do.
Yeah.
So he said, I'm just charging it so that people take it seriously.
Correct.
Otherwise, people will take it and throw it away. If they pay 9,000 rupees for 3 books, they will keep it carefully. So it's, in B2B, it's important. It's all difficult to find the money for it, but you have to find the money. Okay. So, I mean, it's one thing is book, but of course, Sridhar, you've done seminars, right? You've done probably hundreds of direct marketing seminars around the country. That's again thought leadership. No?
So in fact, I was just coming to the next question. You actually led it on to it very nicely. How does an individual become a thought leader?
I don't think I don't think an individual can become a thought leader, right? I can't say that. I can't say I will become a thought leader. I don't
No,
think.
so I don't know whether it is, I'm not talking about becoming a thought leader consciously, but there are many individuals you quoted from the advertising business who are considered thought leader, or as Zakshish Desai, for instance, was considered a thought leader, right? So I'm just trying to see what differentiates them from successful people, but they are not considered thought leaders. Dr. Kurian, for instance, was a thought leader, right? As an individual.
Absolutely. So I think to become a thought leader in your industry, I think first you have to learn to think, right?
Okay.
A lot of managers just end up being very good at operations. Right? So first of all, you need to learn to think, which means you have to think of the big things. You have to start having a vision. That is one. And the second, of course, you need to then articulate that vision. Right? And I remember Wipro had this line once, we used it called applying thought. So first you need to think, you need to apply thought.
Right.
And then after you apply the thought, then you have to capture it and share it widely. So thought leaders, one, think, and then apply that thought. And then they widely share it, whether it is they'll write books or they give talks, or they're very, very generous with their time.
Right.
They give talks, they do webinars, seminars, and they share their knowledge. And then the world recognizes them as a thought leader.
So is there a culture in which the thought leader flourishes? What kind of culture helps thought leaders flourish?
So if you're talking about an organization, the organization has to allow individuals, give them enough time and space to invest in thinking, in writing, and in sharing. Now, if the organization is going to make you work 9 to 9 on an operational job, that organization will never create any thought leaders, right? But if you take, for example, a group like Tata's, Tata's believes in creating thought leaders, right? Whether it was, Mr. Gopal Krishnan, and now, of course, Harish Bhatt is emerging as a
amazing work he's doing. Correct.
Pretty amazing, powerful thought leader, right? So if you look at the Tata Group, they consciously encourage people to emerge as thought leaders. They encourage that. They encourage people to write. They encourage people to go and speak at forums. Whereas some organizations are a little, I'm not finding something is good or something is bad. Some organizations are saying, no, we are very reclusive. We don't want to want our people to go and talk. So, for example, there have been many CEOs, but some CEOs are seen as thought leaders, right? Shiv Kumar is seen as a thought leader, right? Because he's available, he's willing to speak at forums, he's written a wonderful book. So then now we call him a thought leader. But when you start off on the journey, see that you've been on the journey for many years, right? So when you start off on the journey, you don't say that one day I want to be called a thought leader. You start off on the journey, what can I learn? What is the new thing I can learn? And then, what can I share? What can I write? And then that continues for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And then someone says, yaar, ye to thought leader hai. Iske paas jaate hain.
So let me ask you one question at this time. Of all the people that you mentioned, it occurs to me that they all had some sense of madness about them, which they believed immensely, right? Irrespective of all the opposition they might have faced, and they believed in their thought and they pursued it. Is that a distinguishing characteristic of a thought leader?
I don't know whether you can call, I was about to say you're a thought leader, Rama Vijayapurkar is a thought leader, and so is Santosh Desai. And if I say there is something mad about them, Rama will kill me, right?
But they all believe in something, and they're not towing the line all the time, right? So they're not really depending on established things to say this is the correct thing to do. They're constantly finding new ways of doing this thing. I think that that calls for a certain degree of conviction, certain degree of guts, and willing to put in time, extra hours over and above whatever else they are doing, right? So that's what I'm trying to ask. So that's what I called madness within quotes.
So I good you put madness within quotes, because I think it madness bolte hai, keeda bolte hai na, is keeda, you know. There is a little keeda. You know, I need to find
correct. That's a biting insect from inside, right?
Exactly. So it's a keeda.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
To do that. So some of these people have something in common. Like, for example, you take Santosh, or you take Rama, you take Andy Halway.
Yeah.
All of them have that little keeda. You know, I mean, do something different. You know.
Yeah. So that is nudging from inside, right?
Exactly. So do something different, and that's what gets them going.
Yeah.
And then they don't stop.
Right.
The problem is, a lot of people say, I'm going to start writing a blog. And they write a blog for 6 months and they say, no one is reading my blog, and they stop.
Yeah.
Right? But you take someone like, Lucky Butt, whom you know. Now, Lucky Butt has been writing blogs for the last, 10 years or so. And his blogs are amazingly rich, and he posts them every week. So I keep asking him, how do you find the time? He said, Ambi, once I've got it set, now it's clear. You know, you take out 2 hours a week and I do it. I know where to get my stuff from. So he's but in the past, maybe people are saying, why are you wasting your time? Today, it's an amazingly rich archive he's managed to build, right? And he's emerged as a thought leader in that particular domain.
That's interesting that you should say. Thought leaders seem to be picking up things and doing things which the rest of the world thinks is, why are you doing this? Or you must be mad kind of stuff, right? So they seem to have a ability to envision things long before the rest of the world does. Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, because they are, the reason why they do it also because I think they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, for example, I remember talking to Harish, and he was saying, Ambi, somehow every Sunday, if I don't write something, I feel Sunday.
Okay. The bug bites you from inside.
Is it like that for you? I said, it's not that bad, but every week I should write something. Otherwise, thoda, jamta nahi hai. He said, yeah. So for me, it is Sunday. Similarly, exactly same thing, Santosh. Santosh also says, Sunday I have to write.
Yeah.
Or you Ajit Ranade, who is amazingly good, right? Amazingly good. And he wrote that weekly column in Mumbai Mirror. He was telling me 20 years or something like that. And every week he has to write. And he was telling me once it's an interesting little anecdote. I'm sure people know who's Ajit Ranade. He was the chief economist of the Aditya Birla Group. So he said once he was stuck in Sikkim, and he had to submit his column, and there was no internet. And he had to send that column. So he said he sent it as 20 SMS messages.
Wow. My goodness.
So obviously, thoda keeda to hai. I mean, bande mein keeda hai. But the fact is, he enjoys the process of, discovering something and writing something and then, sharing it. Yeah.
So they're unstoppable in some fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think there's something in them which will keep going. They're not looking for a tag from someone to say, he's a thought leader of class A, he's a thought leader of class B. Kuch nahi hai. I mean, they are doing it because they enjoy doing it.
So I want to bring the discussion to thought leader brands, for instance. You mentioned Titan and some of the other things, but you have worked on a huge range of brands, including Wipro, Santur, and so on. So what distinguishes thought leader brands? And what are some useful insights we get from them for our listeners today? What are the things that they can learn from these thought leader brands?
We spoke about it, right? A thought leader brand is a brand which kind of looks at a new direction. We spoke about, Titan, for example, which created the analog quartz revolution, right? Thought leader brands create new directions for the rest of the market to follow, right?
So does it change the lives of the consumers in any way?
I think they do. I think they affect the lives of the consumer, affects the market. For example, when Indica, I mean, I go back to some of my favorite brands and people get tired of me talking, but when Indica was coming out with a small diesel car, I mean, I remember some market research expert told me it's a disaster. You know, who will want to buy a small diesel car, right? But Indica changed the way Indian consumers saw a diesel car. Right? And then everyone followed.
Right.
Hyundai followed with the diesel, Maruti followed with the diesel, Honda followed, everyone followed with the diesel, right?
Right.
But when Tata was doing it, everyone said, you know, it cannot succeed. Why will anyone buy? So, I mean, like this, I mean, of course, I'm saying, you know, these are all kind of narrow definition, right? Innovation, thought leadership. These are all kind of porous. An innovative brand could be a thought leader brand, right? Create a new direction for the market to move into. So I will not dispute, but in the case of B2B, not so much B2C also. Just to pull back, for example, Shekhar, Sridhar, you know, that, for example, a brand like Johnson and Johnson.
Yes.
They acquired this website called Baby Center. And they created this entire, you know, Baby Center is the number one website any pregnant
for mothers
or a mother of a young child go to.
Now,
that's thought leadership, right? That's thought leadership in the FMCG space, right? Similarly, Amul has created you know, Mr. Sodhi was sharing the other day that they have created a cookery site, cookery YouTube channel.
Right.
During the lockdown, they've been posting 10 live cookery lessons every day or something like that. You know?
Excellent. Right.
Amazing number of cookery videos they've uploaded. That's thought leadership.
So one thing that I'm hearing you say, whether it is a brand or a person, that they suffer from what David Ogilvy once called divine discontent, right? Which means that they're not completely happy with the status quo and they always believe something better is possible. And irrespective of who says what about them, they pursue it with a sense of purpose and madness. Is that a fair statement to say?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate because they believe it will work, though the whole world may say it will not work. And they are mad enough to chase that dream. And then when it starts working, the whole world follows.
Yeah. And failures don't stop them. The small little failures they might have faced in the initial stages.
No, it doesn't stop them. No, it doesn't stop them at all.
Yeah. So let me ask you, you actually covered most of it. I'm trying to see if there is a 3-point, 4-point advice to a brand or a person who wants to become a thought leader. Because I think thought leader also sometimes becomes a jargon. People use it loosely, right? And people who talk about it must be clear what it really entails in terms of effort and time and so on and so forth. So the question is, what is your advice? You worked on thought leader brands and out of modesty, you may not accept it, but you're a thought leader, right? So somebody wants to become a thought leader. What are a couple of things that he must do? I'm asking for not just a brand, but a person as well. So you can advise the brand as well as person.
So let me start with the brand. I think a brand, to become a thought leader, you have to show the consumer and show the market a new direction to go into, right? And then you have to then tom that in your own way, whether it is creating books or creating a website or creating content which you can share, which the Tata, for example, the Tata Group does a great job of that. So to create a new direction and then share it widely, and then you will emerge as a thought leader brand. If it's a person, I think I'm of the view that you can't say I will become a thought leader. The world has to say that he's a thought leader. Like, we discussed this, right? I can't say I'm a guru. Only the Sishya can call you a guru.
Correct. Correct.
Right? So if you want to one day get called a thought leader, the thing which you should do is to first of all learn to think, learn to keep learning, and
Right.
learn to share, whether it is
Yeah.
writing or speaking, etc. And then one day, someone may say, he's a thought leader. Like I say, look, Sridhar is a thought leader in this domain, in coaching, innovation coaching. He's an absolute thought leader, right? So I am giving you the title. Sridhar cannot stand and say, I'm a thought leader. No.
Right.
Sridhar can't do that, right? Ambi has to say that Sridhar is a thought leader. And then if you're in the mood of scratching my back, you can say, Ambi is a thought leader.
Yeah, I am. I said it thrice, Ambi. I'm scratching your back. You're a thought leader.
So we can be very happy, but in this case, we can't scratch each other's back. So someone in the audience should say, yaar, ye sala, ye thought leader hai.
Yeah.
इस अच्छा लिखता है, अच्छा बोलता है, बंदे में दम है, right?
Yeah.
बंदे में दम है, you know. So then you're a thought leader. You cannot say I'll become a thought leader.
That's a very interesting thing that you're saying. So thought leader is an outcome, right? Yeah. You have to do something that makes a difference to the lives of people around you. And people might actually turn around and say that it is because of his thought leadership this happened. But nobody can say that, look, I want to become an MBA in thought leadership. Not kind of, that kind of thing is not on, right?
No.
It's a kind of a not a title, but a kind of recognition that is conferred on you by the beneficiaries of your thoughts and actions. But you don't start by saying, I want to become a thought leader.
Absolutely. If you're really a thought leader, someone will call you a thought leader. Otherwise, someone will call you a hack. Right?
Yeah.
Someone will say, he writes the same shit again and again. What kind of a guy is he? And he'll come back. He'll come back to you.
Correct. It's like a boomerang. It will hit you back.
Yeah, it'll hit you back. So people say, how do you write? You've written 10 books. So I said, I'm lucky. I enjoy reading. And then when I enjoy reading, I write. And I'm fortunate there is someone ready to publish my book. And I'm fortunate that they have some people who are willing to buy that book. So I'm okay.
Yeah.
When I started writing 20 years ago, did I even have a faint idea that I'll end up writing 10 books in 20 years? No, not at all. Yeah. I was delighted that I got my first book printed. And I remember, I'd sent my manuscript to Tata McGraw-Hill and it had gone into kind of a black hole. I didn't hear anything from them. Those were days before our communication and all that was not all that great. And then suddenly one day a parcel arrives and I open it. It has these 2 books. I was shocked.
Wow.
I was delighted. I took it running to Anil Kapoor's room and he looked at it and said, shit, your book is published? I said, yeah. I'm good. I said, I'm good. Because, it was a book which was entirely Ulka book, right? It was all about what a great agency, what great brand you built. Why should a publisher spend money printing that book? But someone did, and the book actually sold, and it got into 2nd edition, 3rd edition, printing, etc. So when I started, you're lucky, you're very happy, and then it goes into 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
So since you're talking about writing, this is a slightly different question. Do you have mental blocks anytime? Do you suffer from mental blocks? What do you do? You write so often, so much. Yeah.
We always have this mental block. So you have a mental block, you have to get out of it, start writing. That's the only way.
Okay.
Start writing. It could be gibberish, but once it starts flowing, then it improves and then you're able to guide it to a right place.
So don't evaluate as you're writing. That's what you're saying, right?
Absolutely.
So start writing, keep on writing, and we'll see later.
Yeah, exactly. Keep writing.
Okay.
I mean, I did a creative writing workshop with Amit Verma last year around April or May, and he had a nice tip to people he said, write every day. Write 100 words. Write every day. 100 words also. Chalega. Right.
Yeah. But you have to write at a fixed time, at a fixed place or something, or you can write whatever it is.
He-
How do you become a
he's,
habit?
know,
Yeah.
It becomes habit, right? So it's there's a nice book called Tiny Habit, right? So it's a bit like that.
Right.
Make a
right.
tiny habit. So, like in coaching, what we do now, we tell our coaches every day at the end of the day, take a notebook, write a journal. Write
Yes.
2 sentences.
Right.
I felt
right.
happy today when my boss said the presentation was good. Or I felt sad when my colleague said this idea is not good. So write something,
So that I'm coming back to the thought leader, because this is an interesting thing that happened. I asked you for something and you actually were immediately able to give some advice on the subject. So is it a quality of thought leaders where anybody asks them a question about a certain subject in which they are thought leaders, they are immediately able to give them a couple of pointers on how they can do something? Does that distinguish thought leaders from anybody else?
I don't know. I think as a coach, we don't give advice. We only ask questions, right? We hold
No. I'm talking about a thought leader, not a coach. I'm talking about a thought leader.
Yeah, I think a thought leader should be able to at least give you some directions to go, to explore.
Yeah. Not prescriptions, but directions.
Absolutely. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Right. So that's also what the coach does. He's not giving a prescription, but he helps you to look at directions that the other person may not have looked at.
Absolutely right.
So is a coach also thought of as a thought leader? Where does a coach fit into the thought leader framework?
Coach is an empathetic listener. He may not be a thought leader in every domain, but he definitely is a thought leader in some domain.
Like Marshall Goldsmith would be a thought leader, right? Marshall Goldsmith.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marshall, definitely. And so was Pradipta Mahapatra and Ganesh
Absolutely.
Challa.
Correct.
We all know very well. So they're all thought leaders. They are so very well read and they know so much about what's going on around. They are definitely thought leaders.
And they're great listeners.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're like blotting papers, right?
Absolutely.
Is there something that you wish I had asked, but I have not asked in terms of thought leader questions?
No, I think we have kind of taken the thought leader and we've looked at it from top, bottom, side, everything. I think we should now see if there are any audience questions, Sridhar.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Ambe. This is absolutely enlightening. Enjoyed this conversation with you. Superb. As always, any conversation with you is paisa vasool, yaar. Thank you.
Thank you, Sridhar. You're the ultimate host. So thank you very much.
That was a very insightful session, actually. I'm really indebted to you that both of you guys actually agreed to come to us. And that was a really candid, free-flowing conversation. So many takeaways for all of us, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not only
Thank
for
you
me,
so much.
my teammates, and also the people who logged in. I have some set of questions here, which I would just like to take. One question says, we see brands talking about their leadership during COVID, but which brand leadership stood out for you and why? Ambi, for you first, and then Sridhar.
I think I really admired Unilever's ad, which said that hand washing is very important. So whichever soap you have, please wash your hand. And they actually mentioned Dettol, Santur, Godrej No. 1, or Lux, or Lifebuoy. So I thought that was spoken like a thought leader, very clearly.
Sridhar?
That in my mind stood out.
Yeah. So I was thinking about many of the small local brands which served us during the pandemic, right? And small little things they did actually became thought leadership from me, because the big brands did not do that. Okay, small service brands, people who sell snacks, so food items, and even shirts and t-shirts, whatever it is. But the way they served you, it was amazing in terms of the way they processed the order, delivered the order, and if there was a mistake, they took it back. I think the way in which they conducted themselves, becoming totally customer focused, exhibited thought leadership, because somebody out there in their company is ambitious to serve the customer and be part of their choice list anytime they are thinking of the category. Okay. Whether they were not big brands, they are small brands. But I think they are actually stealing a march over the big brands by the way in which they are coming. They are challenger brands in some fashion.
My another question is, what works better for thought leadership?
I think we've discussed this, right? I mean, it's
You kind of shared that, yeah. You kind of shared that.
Yeah.
To be a thought leader, you need to look at a new direction to go.
Correct.
And go somewhere where no one has gone before.
That's right.
And share your learning.
Correct. Ambition.
So Abhishek Hariharan, that goes your answer. Maybe if you want, you can touch base with them offline. This is no connection a little bit, but I would still like to ask, do you have a framework for making decisions? Some leaders look at behavioral economics to influence decisions, like understanding psychology, opportunity, cost, and sunk, etc., or narrow framing. So I'll break it down. So do you think there is a framework for decision making?
Sridhar, you want to take this?
I make it very simple. I'm saying, is it the right thing for the person for whom I'm doing this? Is it the right time? And is it at the right cost? So when I develop services for somebody, I mean, this is my concern. And my conversation with the client or customer is around these criteria because it's what he is applying. But if I don't think like that, I end up trying to, within quotes, trying to sell something, and that actually boomerangs. So my framework is put yourself in the shoes of the customer, right? So let me give you an example. There is a definition for empathy which says you have to put yourself in the shoes of the other person. You can only put yourself in the shoes of the other person when you get out of your shoes. Right. So my thing is that if I have to do something for somebody, let me actually think like them, speak like them, and act like them. Right? And only then I am able to figure out something which is meaningful for them. So that's my answer. Over to you, Ambi.
No, I totally agree. I think there is no one fixed format for taking decisions. The only simple thing is to get close to the customer, understand their pain points, and try and solve them. To do that, you may apply learning theories, you may apply behavioral economics, you may apply whatever blue ocean strategy, you apply whatever, all those jargons are there. But simple thing is, can you understand the customer's pain point and what can you do to
mitigate that?
Take away the pain. That's all.
Yeah, correct.
Another question says, what's the difference between a thought leader and a market leader? Sridhar?
Well, a market leader could be market leader because of volumes and then shelf space he has got and all that. And he may or may not be a thought leader. But we already discussed the thought leader and what differentiates the thought leader. Is that a fair thing to say, Ambi?
Yeah, I think a market leader can be a market leader through many means, right?
Yeah.
Price competition, through cost economics, etc. But thought leader is someone who's innovated, who's created a new direction to go.
Correct.
And that becomes a thought leader.
Right.
So I see some of the stuff is a very repetitive stuff that you've kind of already shared with us. So there is no point. But however, friends, if you have other questions, do send it to us. We'll forward it to Sridhar and Ambi and they can respond to you offline. Thank you, Sridhar. Thank you, Ambi. Thanks for your time. Thank you for coming on a Saturday evening and being with us.
I can't say no to Sridhar. I can't say no to Sridhar. And with Ganpati said that, Sridhar is going to be hosting this show. So I told him I can't.
Well, Ganpati used his trump card, I think, with you. Thanks so much, Ambi. This was like our conversation we've had whenever I used to come to your office. So nice and comfortable. Yeah, wonderful.
The only thing I could not serve you coffee. And so hopefully one day you can come to my office and we'll have a cup of
Yeah,
coffee.
we'll make up for it. Yeah, and thank you, Ganpati, for making this happen. This is a nice way to kickstart your thought leadership series. All the very best to you. And thank you,
You've
Joy.
set the tone. Both of you have set the tone for Thought Leadership Series and the way forward.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so much,
much.
Joy. Yeah, thank you very much. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.